I hope the sound worked for that. I was having an issue where the sound was not coming through to my headphones, but hopefully it came through to all of you. And my webcam is still blurry. I cannot figure out what's going on with my webcam today. Um, let's try this. I am having technical difficulties, but I was rushing to get here, so of course I could not solve them all in time. Um, but that's fine. You know what? I am blurry, but it's fine. We'll go to the coding view and no one will even notice that I'm blurry. Actually, yeah, it looks a lot better when I'm smaller. Um, yeah. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone had a good week. Um, don't really have a plan. Or 2 weeks. Yeah, because last week was a holiday here, so I wasn't streaming. So it's been a while. I missed all of you. Hope everyone is doing well. Um, in Hey Raphael, how are you? In my rush to get ready today, I also noticed that I forgot to make one more pull request from the where we finished off a couple weeks ago. So I made that just now. I'm waiting for that to finish, or it may have already. Okay, it's technically running through some tests. But once that's done, um, I'm gonna go ahead and merge that, and then we can figure out what we want to do today. Raphael is here though, so I actually figured I would show off at a couple cool things I wanted to show off before we started today to share with y'all. Some of you know that I'm always very open to helping people out with whatever sort of community involvement y'all might be doing. So proofreading a blog post or like reviewing slides for a talk or literally anything. I'm always here to help out. And a couple people have taken me up on that with previewing blog posts this week, and both of them are really good. And so I wanted to show them off. And Raphael's going to go first because he's here. So I'm going to drop this link in the chat. But he wrote this great blog post this week on dealing with like error handling in the type safe way. And it's the gist of this is being able to use sealed interfaces for error types. And more specifically, I'm just going to scroll through. You all should click the link in chat to read the details. But I want to show you like a high level explanation. Is like imagine we have a bunch of use cases that make network calls, and there's something that's common across all of them. Like here, we could have, okay, so this first row, invalid card name format, is unique to the use case. But consider like an HTTP unsuccessful or remote server not reached or whatever API communication error. These things can happen in sort of any use case. So he goes on to explain how we could use like sealed interfaces for this. And you can have an interface for API call error that has those unique use cases. But then you could have that applied to all of these error hierarchies so that, if you have something that consumes, a get magic card use case error, that was another example. But yeah, so if you have something like that, the when statement is going to force you to have not just the magic card use case specific errors, but also the API errors. Um, yeah, it's a great article, so definitely check it out. And there was one more, which I hope they tweeted this out. But it was from Abhishek. I hope I'm saying his name right. I don't know if he's someone who watches the stream regularly, but this was another cool one about sealed hierarchies and on how we can use them to handle image types. So those of y'all who are regulars in the stream have actually seen us use this concept for strings. So actually we do it in this TOA application, but they show like how you could have like a sealed class for a UI image that is like a local image, that's a drawable resource, or a remote image, which is some image URL. And actually, I think, is that exact thing in this code base? No, it's not, but we do have like UI text in this code base, which is the same idea. But what was really cool about this post that this post is really great to start, but I suggested like a use case for this idea that I think is really cool, and that's um, Jetpack Compose and all the cool ways we build UIs now. And why is that so cool? Well, imagine you have a screen that, in practice, it's going to show an image from some remote URL. Say it loads like a profile image, right? Well, if I have, let's say, my composable hard-coded to use like Coil or Glide or whatever, then in my preview in Android Studio, it's never going to work because those tools don't support like image loaders, at least not that I'm aware of, unless that's changed. But something like this is really helpful because you could have your, you know, composable take in a UI image that, sure, in practice will end up creating a remote image composable, but for your composed preview, you could supply like a local image so that inside Android Studio, your preview window will still work. You could supply like a drawable res for like a preview profile image or something. Um, so it's kind of the same way as like text. I guess the UI text isn't a bad example because whether I use a string or a resource, Compose can render that because it's text. But for images, something like that is super helpful. Um, it could be used sort of anywhere if you don't know if a screen's going to take an image URL or an avatar or like a drawable or you want to support both. So I think I did. I posted that in chat. So check that out as well. Um, are there any other updates I had? Anybody else read a cool blog post from like the last week? It doesn't even have to be from the last week, but if there's any other cool ones, um, also I think I've plugged it a million times, but y'all should go follow Matt's newsletter. Um, Stoically typed if you're not. Um, can I find the review page? Aha. Y'all should go check this out because Matt does a great job curating a bunch of recent news and blog posts like that and sharing them out every Monday. So, but I'm not going to make a newsletter, but I am slowly trying to make this kind of like an intro to my streams, spending the first like few minutes going over some cool news, anything that I saw recently. I think it would be a fun way to dive in and share some stuff. Um, yeah, I feel like I had one more. Um, but I think that was it. So, hi Dan, how are you? So now that we've looked at some cool blog posts, we are gonna go merge that pull request from last time. And then let's actually go look at the projects board and make sure that's up to date. And then we can figure out what we want to work on. Um, Matt from the block, yes, that is what we call him now. Um, he told me they've been making ton of block puns at work. I'm not surprised. It's a really easy word to make puns out of. Um, I really can't stand how blurry my webcam is, but I'm trying not to pay attention to it. It'll be really annoying if someone redeems a cube solve later, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Um, cool. So, is there anything, actually, now I can take this. Is there anything anyone wants to work on? Or any like ideas? Um, Stuck in an all hands and can't defend myself? Exactly. Um, let's look again at what we did last week. Actually, I don't know if this will show it off. Yeah, okay. So last week I think 2 streams ago, we built like the UI for the task list screen. And then last time we did a mix of what did we do? We did a mix of finalizing the Material 3 theming as well as building like a demo task repository. So something, oh, let's put on Do Not Disturb, by the way. So something like, where is, ah, now it's not gonna do it. Okay, there should have been a loader, but maybe it's because I'm not like killing the app. Yeah, so we added the loading screen and the home UI. There we go. Um, So that's about as far as we got. Um, we could continue to do some stuff on the home screen. We do have like a login screen. Um, and right now these two things are not connected with each other. So something else we could consider doing is oops, sorry, is like looking at compose navigation. I know Raphael's been waiting for me to use his composed destinations library on stream. And now that we have like another screen in place, maybe it is time to do that. Uh, let's look at this. So let's add our login screen and let's show that off again in case anyone hasn't seen that before. Um, we'll show what the login screen does now. Maybe that's a good place to start. We can start thinking about navigation. Um, that should be fun. So right now, if we have, I actually don't think we do like email validation. We just look like that something was input. Um, but if we log in, it simulates logging in and then it just goes to this disabled state. And we should have seen a log somewhere um, that login completed. Yeah, so let's try it out. Let's try to make it. Ooh, why did that fail? Or how did that re-render? I just noticed this re-rendered to saying like, hold on, is there weird? So all this gets disabled. Ooh, but I can still click on it? Oh no. Um, okay, I want to briefly investigate that bug real quick. Um, I wonder if this is a Material 3 bug. So this uses a Material 3 button, which has an enabled property. Um, oh, look at this. You guys love this. So this is a Material 3 button, right? And check this out. So it consumes an enabled property right here, right? But let's scroll down to where they have the click and semantics modifier. And let's take a note of this line right here. They are always setting the button as the click as enabled and not doing it based on the enabled property that we are passing it, which should be fixed in the, or should be how it works in the standard compose, but this is really interesting, and I wonder if we should find something. Uh, good question there. Accompanist animated navigation or navigation compose? Um, I hadn't got that far. Raphael, what does your library use? I'm assuming your library is just built around navigation compose. Um, and let me share that library in case. Oh, it can use both. Interesting. Okay. So maybe we'll animate it. Oh my God, that's so funny though. I can't believe that that exists. I would actually like to find out. Well, first, let's see. Okay. But before I get ahead of myself, I would love to find out if that's been reported or whatever. So let's, ooh, there's an Alpha O2. Um, let's take a look at what is changed here. So, ooh, they added checkbox and radio button. Nice. Compatible with Kotlin 1.6. Um, oh, look, they fixed it. Fixed that hard-coded button to always be enabled. Um, that's really funny. Okay, so let's update that version now before we move on. Um, hmm, and let's yeah, let's just make a new ticket or a new branch. Um, login home navigation. Okay, but material 3 alpha O2. Um, cool. I'm glad they fixed that. and that they're starting to slowly add more components. That's really cool. Um, okay, so I posted the link to the library in chat. I did. Um, let's talk about this. So this is an annotation processing library that, improves navigation in Compose. And the README does a good job explaining a little bit about why that improves it. But it basically just removes some of the boilerplate that we usually have, and that we don't need to really. Um, I guess it's been a while since I looked at the Compose navigation code, so I don't even remember what this missed. But we can mark something as a destination. It will take any properties that it has and then build the corresponding art destination class for us so that when I want to navigate, I can even use like named parameters and be very explicit about where I want to go, what the properties are, things like that. Um, yeah. Uh, cool. So let's do it. I want to make sure that this alone didn't break before I start adding other stuff. Anyone doing Advent of Code or thinking about it? There's a really cool template library from Kotlin that makes it really easy to start doing Advent of Code, which I like. Okay, and I think, okay, cool. The app didn't crash, we're good. So let's try this. We log in. Now the buttons are actually disabled. Great. Cool. Okay, so let's go through the setup for um, this library. So first thing is needing the KSP plugin. Um, I don't have. I don't think this project has the new like plugins block. I think it's still using the old setup. So let's do that real quick. Um, which is basically the same thing that like this. Or we could add. Let's try that. That might be what we need. I think you still do it in the app module build decorator. Um, maybe. Well, if I put it here, then I haven't switched to Kotlin 1.6 yet. I remember seeing Zach's tweet about it, but I don't remember. Um, actually, let's just look this up. Let's just look up the KSP plugin and make sure I'm not doing it wrong. Um, how do I? Maybe I should just use the plugins. People like that. Um, does this have? There's an app folder. Let me look at your setup for this because it looks like you made. Huh, do I need that whole thing? Maybe. Let's do a sync and see if this works. Okay, that didn't work. Because I think that first part was probably wrong. Okay, let's try this out and hope that even if it's different, maybe it will still work. Hold on. Get rid of this line and throw this at the top. Don't remember if that's how you do it with. No, that's not it. Where have I seen this? Um, oh, you. I missed the other part. Is okay. Maybe if I put that inside. Oh, I guess I could just continue to put it here with all the others. I don't see why that would fail. Or maybe let's try that. Will that be fine? The others don't have this version code, but they might not need it. Okay. Yep. We reached the solution at the same time. Love it. Um, okay, cool. That's building, but let's go back and keep going through this. So, um, then we need, do I also need, do I need this last line, or is that like a transitive dependency from your code? Um, interesting. Okay. Um, okay, let's clean this up. Hold on. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do is take this and we're going to throw this in our versions.gradle file. Um, we also did this recently where I put everything inside a versions.gradle file. And then I also like to put a comment to the release notes for that. So we're going to get that from up here. Um, might not notice this when you're looking at a GitHub repo, there's usually a releases note over here on the right-hand side. That's if you're tagging your builds, that's where you'll find all of the releases. Um, and then it looks like we also needed so I can replace this with root project versions.compose destination. Replace this as well. Um, and then we will put compose navigation. Let's look up that dependency. Um, is it? Oh, navigation compose. Okay, so I'm gonna want the beta version for this. Um, but let's do compose navigation and copy that release notes up there. Okay, let's do a sync and hopefully all of our dependencies are good. So that's fun stuff. Good start. Um, and a good note here. You need to make sure the IDE looks at the generated folder, see KSP related issue. An example for the debug variant would be interesting. Okay. So this is also using Kotlin Gradle files, which I do not use, but I think I could come up with the relevant version because I think oh no, I can't find it. Um, but I think it should actually be. Is it also in here? Um, Shoot, I don't remember how to do that. It's pretty much the same. Um, we could try that. We could see if this works. I think it goes inside here, inside the Android block, right? Oh, the sync worked. Let's run the app and let's see if that works. You'll send me a link. Got it. It's one of those things that I don't modify a whole lot. These source sets. Also, I think this is old. I don't think this is used anymore. Well, the app built, but that might be because I'm not doing anything with KSP yet. So I'll leave that for a second and we'll keep going. So, um, okay, let's try to make a couple destinations then at the start and go from there. So here's our main activity. And we want to, hmm, well, I'm wondering, I've got this function right here, and I'm wondering if it makes sense. Does it make sense, Raphael, to make this a destination? Um, and or is that a bad idea? Will that confuse this because like these words? Because I don't really want the view model as part of the destination. So should I have like one inside my activity? Oh, it's fine. Um, does it like ignore certain properties or something like that when you're creating a destination? Oh, it has a default value. That's a good point too. Um, okay. So we made our destinations. Also, so we could either build the project or run this, which should be faster. And let's try that out. Oh, build failed. Probably the source sets issue somewhere. Ooh, no start destination found. So that's, I believe, something that needs to be put on the destination tag, right? So if I go to my login screen, I can say start equals true. Nice, nice. Um, okay. Do I have to set up? I didn't notice it here. Um, oh, you had the nav host call here. This call will automatically add all annotated composable functions as destinations of the navigation graph. That's it? So I don't even pass anything to here? So you're saying like that's it. That's all I have to do. I see. So I just need a Kotlin block around it. Um, is that still inside is it up here inside this Android block or is it separate? Same level as Android, so this should work. Awesome. Um, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so then I've commented all this out. Um, but okay. Well, so here's I'd love to understand how your um library works because I noticed that um so if I have a destination that consumes like a destinations navigator, is that something that you provide yourself? So um I don't need to supply it. Awesome. So then here, um I can do navigator dot uh like that. Navigator dot navigate task list screen destination. Let's try it out. That will be pretty cool. That's actually very, very smooth. Um, and then I'd love to see. I want to take a look at this. Um, ooh, this is an interface. Amazing. So testing this should be really nice. Um, you can supply an empty. That is cool, but I guess the empty would be cool for tests, but also it would be really cool if you made like a test artifact because what if I want to verify that the call was made, like that a navigation would have happened? Um, that's just a thought there. But it would be pretty easy to like make our own test wrapper or supply like a mock. Oh, for use for previews. Nice. Okay, so let's try this out. So test, test, log in. Look at that. That's it. All right, stream's over, everybody. That was fast. That was very cool. Um, wow, I'm impressed. That was very cool. Uh, I spent more time tinkering with all the import statements than I did actually navigating between these two screens. Um, yeah, that's pretty cool. So um, let's go ahead and update stream history for this. Oh, I gotta clean up last week's. Nice. Okay, updating street history. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to write a test for this. Um, huh. We could write the test like we could write a more full test on like the main activity to verify like we moved from one screen to another, or we could test like one screen in particular. Although actually I wouldn't do that. Because writing a test here, supplying like a fake view model is a pain. So I guess if I wanted to test this, I would do like an end-to-end test, but hmm, just lots something to tinker with. Let's get the pull request going though. Yeah, that's what I would typically do is I test like the content composables. Um, I don't really test like the screens with the view models. I not in like a UI test. But we haven't done any testing for this project yet, which we probably should do eventually. Or I think we have some unit tests, but oh wait, did I? Nice. Um, Enhancement. This is for. I guess we can put this in a home screen. Create pull request. Nice. Thanks for sharing that library. That was really cool. I'm just thinking about hmm. I mean, it's great for where it's at. I was one of the reasons I was confused about. Oh, let me remove these comments. One of the reasons I was confused about this being it is like the idea if it would ever be able to support like multiple graphs. Um, but then I wondered how much that really mattered. Uh, if I can just like tell it where to navigate. Like in a composed world, like do I really need to worry about having like individual stacks? I mean, I guess it would be nice if let's say I had like a tab layout and I wanted to have different things. But so would this be um it has two levels of graphs at the moment. I don't know what you mean by that. Um oh, I see, I see. Yeah, let's look at that annotation. So we have a route, start. Oh, I have a nav graph. I see, I see. So I could give like interesting, okay. And then hmm, and all destinations with the same nav graph will belong to a nested nav graph with that name. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So that's how I could use this if I wanted like a tab layout or whatever. Um, and then is this, I guess, like, is this nav host basically scoped to the composable that it's in? So imagine I did have a tab layout and I had like three of these. Would they each kind of have their own backstack? Um, I'm guessing the answer to that's probably yes. Um, Also, if I set the nav graph in the if someone were to set the nav graph inside the destination annotation, um, how do I tell this which nav graph to use? Oh, would I just use like, would it be based on this? Hmm, got it. Okay. At the moment, we can only do one. So then what would be the purpose of multiple nav graphs? Just kind of like, got it. Okay, okay. I see. I see. Hmm, interesting. Um, but yeah, this is cool. Uh, we've got, whoops, what did it start back on? Oh, actually, I probably should, gotta hydrate. Cheers. I just realized that I kind of have a bug. This is my fault, I suppose. Um, but if I log in, we go to the task list screen. Um, got it. Okay. But then when I press back, I go back to login, which is disabled, which makes sense. Um, but I'm wondering if I should prevent this. So maybe Rafael can. Okay, don't answer this. I'm going to test your library a little bit to see if I can find the answer to this. So, um, here, login screen. We call this navigator.navigate and we give it the destination. This consumes a builder, which is a nav options builder. So I know this uses the Android X navigation. So I know that this will do what I want. Is right here, I can basically use this as a lambda, and I can basically say this dot pop up to, and then I could give it a route. So I could do like, I think what I would do here is get the login screen destination dot route, and then I could say inclusive. Whoops. Oh my god, is that a separate thing? It might be. That it's like, yeah, okay, like that. So yeah, I thought inclusive was like a parameter, not part of the builder here. Um, okay, so let's try that. Let's see if this works out. But that's really cool that you have maintained that parameter that hooks into the library. So anything that compose navigation or that navigation allows me to do, you're going to support out of the box. That's really cool. So you don't have to worry about wrapping all of that behavior. So then I think pressing back from here should close the app. Nice. Very cool. Okay. So let's include that. Um, cool. That's 8 o'clock. So I have about another hour that I said I would stream tonight to make a phone call after this. So not going to be able to do another marathon tonight. So what do we want to do for the next hour? So we did ooh, interesting that I kept I guess that makes sense. Um we could do more to the home screen. We could write some tests. We could do some UI. Um I don't really want to build the startup screen, but I was thinking that like right now sign up crashes. So I was thinking about showing like a toast or something. Um, might do that. Let's throw that in this PR. Um, has anyone done a toast in Compose yet? Um, Is it even anything special? Um, because I guess what we could do, actually, this compose let you do a toast? It doesn't. Because I was thinking you could do like toast at make text, and then you could just do like give it like the current context. Why does this yell at me? Oh, this is because I'm technically not currently in the composable, um, which is true. This lambda is not like in the composable. Um, how do I fix that? No, that's not what I want. Huh. I could do that. Feels a little hacky, but it works. Okay, let's try that out, just so we can avoid the crash for now. Nice. I also, you like that like Android 12 toast where it has the app icon in the toast? So you know who is triggering this? I like that. Nice. Um, yeah. I don't know what else I want to do tonight. We could also figure out. All right, here's another random one. Um, the fact that this like doesn't tab to the next one kind of bothers me. Um, we could play around with like tab order on this screen. Um, I also just realized we might want to rethink this. Huh. I'm wondering if we should rethink this home screen UI because um, the floating action button covers that bottom card, which feels like a mistake. Um, Not 100% sure how we would fix that one, but no one's got any thoughts? Nothing you'll want to see? Any random Androidy topic? My inspiration is just not, it's not there today. I don't know what I want to do. Which is usually when I fall into testing because that's something I can kind of do whenever, and people always love to see testing. Let's look at all the tickets we've made for this before. We have a whole bunch. Um, the design ones. We talked about a customized splash screen, which we could do. Um, I guess it would make sense to start working on like add task behavior. Um, I would also kind of like to fix these. That ripple is wrong. That ripple should extend beyond that icon. Um, Animate the lazy list. In what way? Like when it loads. Right now we don't have like drag or drop. We could do like a swipe to dismiss thing. Um, I could try to animate between login and task list screen. We could. Um, so if I want to do that, do I want that accompanist library or can I do that out of the box? It looks like there's already a little fade animation. Um, okay, let's look it up. Um, let's see if this pull request. Okay. Navigation animation. Oh my god, they use that method. First not null of or null. Saw a tweet about that a while ago. Um, let's check their docs on this. Don't use the latest one. It has okay. Um, I don't know what version I have, but I'm probably not on the latest one. But let's see. Well, let's add. Okay, that's the one that I think is in the code base in the first place. But let's add that to the repo first. Let's do this on a new branch. Um, I'm also going, okay, on this new branch, I'm going to comment out the pop up just so I can go back and forth for easy testing. Um, have I broken something? What did I break? I don't know what I broke, but we're just gonna. I probably deleted a bracket somewhere. What? Where did I? I think my ID is going crazy, which is entirely possible. Go to build that Gradle. And then here we can do project.exp.versions.accompanist. Okay, so let's run this first. Um, and while this is building, I'm gonna go look at the docs here. So animated nav host composable offers a way to add custom transitions to composables. So with each composable here, we can give it like an enter and an exit transition. Also, it's kind of cool that we could see like we could do that based on where we're destinating to, within the pop enter transition, etc. Okay, so I'm not looking at the like animations directly, just what options we have. So it looks like there's enter and exit, and then there's pop enter, pop exit. Um, okay, so, oh, we got an error here. Inferred type is animated content scope. Uh, um, is this okay? Hold on. Let me see. Okay, you know about this? Because this seems like your bug and Accompanist aren't playing well together right now. Uh, oh, what's the problem? It looks like the method signature you have is just different from theirs. Got it. Okay. Um, so we can do that. 21.3 dash beta. Okay. Should I update accompanist or should I? I'll update accompanist. Um, Nothing wrong with bleeding edge here. 0.21.3 beta. Nah, bleeding edge technology on this stream. We're not afraid. I mean, it's not a production app, so I really don't have anything to be afraid of here. That makes sense. That's an interesting approach there. Um, cool. So I guess that actually picks up. So um, I see. So you have two versions of um, this destination's nav host, and your library will. How do you know which one to use? Well, do they have like different imports, for example? Um, oh no, I still have. Let me do a clean build. Hold on. Yeah, so how do you do the check on your side which one to use? So I see here you're using the experimental animation API one, which I don't think it was using before. So how did you know that I added a new dependency like that? I'm just curious how that works. I see. Interesting. Of course, Casey Lynn's gonna yell about some missing thing. Okay, let's try this out. Maybe it will work. Ah, okay. Interesting. Nope, I'm still getting the error of a type mismatch. Is it worth it? Uh, I think the switch, I think switching to Kotlin is worth it, absolutely. As far as whether or not you should migrate the entire code base, if it's really that large, it's probably not worth it if the file is not something you touch regularly. But if it's any new files or files that you do work with often, it's definitely worth it. But like if you've got some Pojo Java class that no one has touched in like 2 years, you don't need to go through all the time to rewrite it in Kotlin. That's my quick take. But yes, if it's anything that you modify regularly or any new files you're working on, absolutely worth it. Um, yeah, interesting. So what I can do, well, let's try this then. Um, I'm gonna go back to your, yeah, that's what I was gonna do. Um, Oh, I also noticed you said 21.2. This beta was not the same one that I had. Um, yeah, that will take a long time one by one. Um, so the way my last job did it, because the interrupt is there, all of our new files were written in Kotlin, and then the only time we changed a file back is like if I had to make a change to it in the first place. Um, you know what I mean? Like, so if I'm opening the file in the first place, then yeah, I'll go ahead and convert it. But if it's a file that I don't touch, then we don't bother. SQL Delight is hype now. Actually, what is a benefit? The tools depend on room. Um, I don't know. I've heard that take before, that like SQL Delight is just better than room. I haven't used it. I think some, yeah, of course. Um, Programmer's Dream. Hope that was helpful. I've some companies are like very strict about, non-Google libraries. So in that regard, people might use Room, but no, I have heard the take that SQL Delight is just a lot better, but I've never used it. Um, okay, so let's see what we get out of the box without even specifying. We probably just get like a fade, right? Oh, I actually don't even think we saw anything. Yeah, okay, so there's no animation here. But let's go ahead and add some. So let's say for a task list screen, um, is it on? Nope, it's not here. Oh, I see. Is it on? Where do I specify the animations? I totally forgot where I was looking. Um, is it on the navigate call on like the builder? Oh, it was in the destination annotation? Uh, okay, hold on. I don't see it. Oh, style? Okay. So do we have an example? Um, because this is a Kotlin class, right? So do I have to like create my own class for the destination and like pass this through? Um, I can go look at your repo. Maybe you have sample code. Oh wait, this is interesting. Okay, but then what do I pass here? Like, um, maybe if I look at your, yeah, let me look at that. Class of a destination style subclass, which is used to define the style. So let me look at the default. Um, oh, that's literally just nothing. But do you have, okay, so this makes sense. Um, I see. So if I want to animate, I need to make my own that implements animated. I see. Okay. Are there any out of the box in your library or no? I need to make one myself. No, I don't want to delete the directory. The one UI is animated in the destination nav host. I'm not sure what you mean by the one I want is animated, but also I could do defaults. Oh, I see, I see. Okay. In the nav host, you can pass default for all screens. Let's try that first. Because that's probably what I would want for now. So let's do that. So here, um, we have um, default animation params. Okay, so let's look at what this gives me. So there's alignment. I see there's enter, transition, exit, etc., etc. Okay, so let's say so this is from compose. This none. Okay, so I know there's a slide in horizontally. Does that just give me? Let's try that out. But why are these yelling at me? Animations? Oh, this is not how it works because it's a lambda? What is the animated content scope? Oh, is that where I would do stuff based on like the destination or something? Or oh, because I would have a nav backstack entry. So is this where I would say like based on the entry I want to do one thing or another? Is that why it's a lambda? Nice. Okay. So let's just try this out. We'll slide in and out horizontally. I see. Nice. Ooh. That looked a little jumpy, but it worked. Okay, that was cool. Oh, all right. Maybe when I should like do the recomposition, I make this screen. Well, I guess it doesn't matter because of the whole we normally pop up. But okay, let's try this again. Okay, here we go again. Yeah, that transition is a little laggy for me, and I'm not 100% sure why. But then when I press back here, this is gonna look good. It's quick, but yeah, interesting. Let's try hmm. Okay, now I want to see what that looks like with um with that pop backstack that we had earlier. But don't I have one transition for the screen leaving and one for it entering? Because in the default, I specify the enter and exit transition. Basically, sliding is not great. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. So the maybe for like exit, we could do like fade out. We can see how that looks. I want to see how this looks with the pop back stack though, real quick. The previous version. Yeah, that's a little weird why it like goes halfway. But let's try it with the fade out. So old screen fades out, new screen fades in horizontally. That seems like that could lead to some smooth animations. Here we go. Ooh, okay. All right, that was actually kind of smooth. Um, you also did this default animation parameters. There's, ooh, I see. Oh, I see. Okay, so that was, ooh, I like that. That's cool. Um, but I might keep this. Let me try that. I want to see this happen again. Um, yeah, I like that. I like the way that spinner comes in left to right and then the back one faded out. That was pretty cool. I'm keeping that. And that makes sense as a default, I think, for a library, to let people do what they want to do. In navigation. Recap. Yeah, we played Rocket League and you missed it. Um, that's your recap. Cheers. No, but actually, so we start off, we added the composed destinations library so that we would have this cool annotation processing that makes it really easy to navigate between screens. And then we looked at adding the accompanist library for navigating or animations while navigating. So what we have now, I'll show you, is we have this setup where when we switch between two screens, you're going to see the new one fade in. Um, Yo, Chris, thank you for the raid. We appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Um, just in time for me to tell you all about this animation that we spent the night working on. Now you'll get to see the beautiful animation. So, Robotic Head, thank you for the follow. The way this animation is going to work is the new screen's going to come in from the left towards the right, and the old one is going to fade out. So it's going to look something like this. That's pretty cool. It's smooth, but that is like our standard animation that's going to go. Oh my god, all the follows. Dota 2 Attitude, that is an appropriate name. Coding Brian, Tech and Food. Wow, you guys have great names. Tech and Food is my life. Um, so Robotic Head. Burnt Toast JPEG. Amazing. Thank you for the follow. Yes, Pixel 6 Pro gang. Um, again, chat. Yeah, the Pixel 6 Pro is great. Welcome, everybody. Rod Livian 88, thank you for the follow. Um, do a quick intro. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Adam. I am a senior Android engineer slash Google developer expert for Android. And we do Android streaming here once a week, every Wednesday night. Uh, it is Wednesday, my dudes. Welcome. Um, no, spam all the follows. I love it. We are working on a wholesome task management app. We haven't really gotten to the wholesome part yet. Basically, I wanted to make like a task management app that was actually helpful and not always like in your face all the time, sending you a bunch of notifications, making you feel guilty about not doing stuff. So we're trying to find a way to make a task management app that doesn't do any of that, but also hopefully we can make it so we have like a some words of affirmation as people are going through. The name of the app is Tasks of Affirmation. Exclamation point GitHub in the chat if you want to see the repo. Exclamation point Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. All the socials are in there. Um, are we going to be betting today? No one redeemed a Rubik's Cube solve, but we could do one just for fun. Um, unit testing. Okay, we could probably do some unit testing. Um, Should we do a Rubik's Cube solve just for fun? Give all of our new followers a chance to. Preston Codes, thank you for the follow. Oh, we got a Rubik's Cube solve. I was seconds away from doing it for free, but I mean, there, if you're gonna waste your points. All right, let's get the prediction rolling. Give me 1 sec. Sandwich, thank you for the follow, man. Y'all are gonna make me real hungry. Um, all right, do we think I will be fast today? Does today feel like a fast solving day? Let's find out. So the under bet will be 27.499 seconds or faster. If it's 27.5 and up, that will be the other bet. So the prediction should be started in a second. Y'all have 2 minutes to place your bets while I get the camera ready for solving and get our cube over here. Chat popping off. Ooh, sous vide steak and fries. Can we just chill with the food? Dang, like I ate today and now I'm hungry again. Um, all right. Over Thanksgiving, I was at my fiance's parents' house, and her brother is also really into Rubik's cubes, and but he's even faster than I am. So he was showing me some like finger tricks and other stuff while we were there. It was blowing my mind. I've got a lot of practicing to do. Um, How fast? So, if any of you are curious, my best on stream is 21.42 seconds. But my average is 30.53. So I put the prediction at like 27 and a half because I feel like on a day that could be hit or miss. So like it's kind of like in the middle of my average. I want to set it like too fast that I'm never gonna make it, or too slow that I always beat it. So trying to go in the middle. Um, Rubik's Cube technology has progressed a lot. It is um, a very fascinating field. Do you know the world record for a 3x3 cube solve right now is like it's like 4 seconds. It's absolutely nutty. The world record for an average, like 5 cube average, is like 5 seconds. So it's not always a fluke. Someone on average could solve it in like 5 seconds. Absolutely nuts. I still don't understand it. Um, Vote that you won't do it. That happens, Rafael. Sometimes I miss it. Looks like the prediction is done. I probably should have been doing a little bit of inspection here, but I didn't get that far. Okay, so I'm a little nervous. We'll see how this goes. I'm gonna not use any of my tricks that I learned over Thanksgiving and try to go with our comfort zone here. Let's see what we can do. Ooh, 28.5. So we were pretty close. Okay, that was a good bet. 1 second off the bet. Not bad. Could have been a lot closer. Can't believe I was 0.50 on the dot. 70 seconds is good. I always say that like anyone who can solve a Rubik's Cube should be proud of themselves. Like it is hard. And it's hard to do fast, but it's hard to do in the first place. So I mean, you know. Ooh, and more of you bet over 27.5. Nice to know that none of you had faith in me. But those of you who did not have faith in me, you won. Did I go to Worlds? No, I've never been to like a real cube tournament, but it would be cool to go watch one day. Um, no chance I ever compete something like that. But I would love to go like see what that environment is like. Does anyone watch the Speed Cuber documentary on Netflix? I never finished it, but I did start it a while ago. Uh, Move to a small country and go to nationals. Yeah, isn't that what we should do for everything? Huh. Thank you, Rafael, for redeeming that. Uh, yeah. So let's go get our pull request cleaned up, real quick. Um, let's add this one before I forget. Adding animations to our navigation. Okay, and label for this. We'll call this design. This is design work. And we'll throw this on the home screen project. Okay, pull request. Hawaii is nice this time of year. I went back in like August. Um, yeah, I'm gonna be doing some practicing to see if I can get my time up even faster. Um, a cool trick I learned. Let me show you all this. This is really subtle, but let's get the mic out of the way. So sometimes there are algorithms that require you to move this middle one, which you can see I can kind of move with my like ring finger, but it's not super fast. The way I always do this when I'm solving is really slow, is that I take both sides, I turn them both, and I turn the right one back up. So that's how I move like the middle piece, right? Uh, but uh, this guy shows me you turn one side and then you grab your ring finger and you fling this down as you go back, and it turns the middle one twice. So like that one move, that one quick movement spins the middle piece all the way around. And I'm like, I couldn't stop doing this. I'm like just mind blown by how smooth that is. Um, he was showing me a ton of other finger tricks that like I never even thought of. Um, but then yeah, so that was my way of fidgeting, just moving around those middle pieces. Good night, Dota. Thanks for coming by. Hopefully we can see you next week. Appreciate it. Let's okay, so we merged the one pull request from tonight. We've got our other pull request running, which is animations. Oh, now we got merge conflicts. That's fun. Let's go resolve those real quick. Um, check out development. I like to do these from my IDE, so I pull out the development branch, check out the one that I'm merging, and then just do a git merge. And then the IDE will tell me, hey, you have merge conflicts. And I can just resolve those via the GUI here. Um, those, we're going to want this one because it has the accompanist stuff in it. Or main activity, we want that one, I believe. Yeah, that looks good. And then stream history, this should be, we're going to want this one. And then we can commit and push from here. So yeah, all the new folks joining, those of you who are into Android, exclamation point GitHub to see this repo, or follow me on YouTube. You can find all these streams. I get recorded and uploaded to YouTube within a couple days after the live stream. Mostly working on the app that y'all saw here. Every once in a while, we'll look at like something different or some unique topic, but usually we keep going on the same app, so there's a little bit of continuity to it all. Um, but yeah, so I was actually all right. It's 8:40. I was gonna wrap up in like 20 minutes or so. There's plenty of time left for us to work on some stuff. We were trying to decide what else we were going to do tonight. I'm also notoriously underprepared for my streams. Um, in that, like, I never know what I feel like working on a particular night. Um, Usually in between streams, I think of a bunch of small things. So a couple were brought up earlier today, which is on this list. If I scroll to the bottom, um, we can still see this floating action button down here, and it sits right on top of like the done button for that last task, which is bad. So there's a couple ways we could think about that. Like we could throw in like a ton of extra padding, or like we could add like a bottom menu here, and then we could like anchor the floating action button, and then we could just like give it some more padding or something. Um, Another option that I've seen in other apps is like while you are scrolling, or if you're scrolling down, if you scroll down, the button will disappear. And then if you scroll up, it comes back. That's behavior I've seen in other apps. So that way it's never blocking the last item. Uh, Something we could do. I also noticed that might be hard for y'all to see. There's like a ripple effect on these icons that only extends as far as the icon itself, and I feel like that's not what we want. I feel like the click area. I mean, the click area on these buttons is pretty large by nature of the button itself, but feels like we could improve that. Just random thoughts I had. Um, yeah. Oh, someone said they wanted to do some unit testing before the cube solving. Uh, I just remembered that. MTA wanted to do unit testing. So we can do some unit testing tonight. If you're still here, did you mean like pure unit testing, or did you want to do like some compose unit testing and and unit test some of these UI components? Let me know what you were thinking there. I'm gonna go back to this and see this is still running. Um, but let me know your thoughts on which type of testing we wanted to do. Or anyone, feel free to jump in if either of those sounded interesting. Um, I don't think this app has any. Yeah, we don't have any UI tests yet. You're fine with both of them. Okay. And then the actual tests we have so far are for like the login view model, um, our credentials use case test. Um, that's a good one. Okay, let's do some testing. Um, let's do the new branch real quick. Yeah. So let's switch over. We'll do regular unit tests. We'll call it home domain test because we want to do some. So we can see we've got some testing here on login related stuff. Um, let's do tests around like our home domain. So, oh, I shouldn't. Well, I keep calling it home because that's kind of like the landing screen of the app. But we've talked before that I don't like naming screens home screen because I feel like that's not descriptive, and home screen always bloats to the biggest part of the app. So we were smart. We called this task list. So I think that's really good. We have like our task list domain. So we could write a unit test for this. Um, but let's think, given that we only have a little bit of time, let's think about what's actually worth it. So this class consumes a task list repository, and when we invoke the use case, it just returns fetch all tasks. It's kind of just like a proxy, which is good, and we could test that that proxy works. However, um, that feels like not the most productive use of our time for tests. I think if I was like at work right now, I would test everything But I think given the time, we could come up with a little more interesting um, test, which is probably if we went to like our task list view model. And we can see here, this actually does a little bit of stuff. So we have our get all tasks use case. Um, and then our view model scope gets all the tasks and um, what's the word? Um, if it's successful, it sets the view state this way. If it's not, it sets the view state that way. So I think it would be a little better to write some tests for this view model so we can test like all the different ways the task list view model can work. So let's do that. Um, Now, if you are new to the stream, you are going to first see me preach my favorite thing in the whole world, which is the robot pattern. And test robots, in short, are like a class that is kind of a layer between our system under test, in this case, our task list view model, and our test itself, task list view model test. And the reason for that is because some nuances of the view model might change. Um, and if they do, um, we would want to then like be able to quickly update all of our tests without having to update every single one of those tests. So having this layer of abstraction is like a safety net to where you change the view model, you only change your test robot, all of your tests still pass. I actually recently learned a really cool example of this. Um, Maybe after I write some tests, I can show y'all what that would be like. Um, uh, I'm wondering if I should. Yeah, I can. I'll show y'all after. But let's first talk about how I usually define my robots. So one thing is the robot's going to have all of the dependencies that your system under test is going to need. So here we would have like our um, get all tests use case, which I would want to create a fake version, which doesn't exist yet. So let's do that first so we can satisfy our IDE. So here we'll create a fake get all tasks use case, which will extend the interface for our use case. How did I do this before? Okay, so here I use like a mock and then a function to mock the response. That's fine, we'll do the same thing here. Oh, so then I don't actually use this. I just expose the mock. So we have our mock, and then we would do something like mock response, which I think will be a result using our result class. So we can say co every mock dot invoke returns response. So we're using a Kotlin mocking library here called mock-k, those of you who are familiar with it. Um, but we have like a mock of this use case. And we have this function to mock the response. So every time we call mock.invoke or usecase.invoke, we want to have it return this response. This co-every is like for a coroutine, which is like a async programming in Kotlin. Matienzo, thank you for the follow. So now we have this. That's great. And we're also going to have our lateness var for the view model, which will be a taskless view model. So first thing we do, create a function here called build view model. Uh, and all this is going to do is build the view model. So this will call the constructor. The reason we do it this way um, is because I don't want my test to instantiate the view model right away. While that sounds nice, the downfall of that is like, what if our view model is doing something inside its initialization method? I want to make sure I have a way to um, deal with my mocks and setup before I instantiate the view model. Uh, Scotland, thank you for the follow. So also, my headphones are off. I don't know if the alert message is going off for you. I can like see it in chat, but I don't know if you're hearing the little ringing, because my headphones are not. But I think that's an issue on my end. Either way, I'm watching it carefully, so if the audio is not going off, I'm making sure y'all get your shout out. Ah, I don't know why my stream setup is so broken, but we'll work on it. I am one of the most scuffed coding streamers out there, especially all of you who came from Chris's raid. Like, Chris's setup is great. He's always playing good music. He's got the sick, like, terminal chat output. Like, I'm really impressed with his setup. Mine is very scuffed. Uh, but I appreciate all being here anyways. Um, cool. So the next thing we need to do, I'm actually going to pull something up on my other screen because I don't remember how we did this. I do kind of remember. So here is where I would also put a list of like functions related to the home screen. Like I could put a function here like click task, mark task as done, reschedule task, anything that the task list screen would do or the view model would do. But in our view model, we don't actually have any public methods. But we do need a way inside our test robot to figure out how would we uh, words how would we deal with this view state? So, hmm, actually, I'm looking at this home view model and I don't like, I'm worried about how we're going to test this. Because code like this is difficult to write tests for, in the sense that, um, okay, let's talk about what this is doing, right? So, this launches a coroutine, which is like an asynchronous process, walking through it for anyone who hasn't seen this. And we fetch our tasks. And then based on that result, we get some stuff back. Now, by default, the way we do a lot of mocking for coroutines in our tests and stuff is we kind of pretend that those like dispatchers and threading don't exist, and everything just kind of runs synchronously. The problem that's going to create for us is that when I'm in a test and I do all that, and then I create this view model, I'm going to jump into the success state right away. And it's going to be very difficult for me to test that the loading state actually occurred. Now, we had the same problem with our login screen a while back. We handled that a little differently, um, but that worked because the login screen wasn't doing anything right inside the init method. Um, so, uh, what we could do for now is we could write a test ignoring that loading state. Let's write a test where we can mock the success state, mock the error state, and verify that the UI behaves the way we wanted. But then maybe if we have time, we can come back and talk about how to handle that loading state. But we'll leave it out for now. So what we can do here is we can write like a function for our robot that says assert view state. And this will take in an expected view state, which is a pathless view state. And then we can say, okay, our actual view state will be view model dot view state dot value. We can say assert that actual view state that is equal to expected view state. Um, so this is a very short test robot, but it's good to have this abstraction. So uh, have a good nap, robotic head. Thank you for coming by. It was great to have you here. Um, but having this abstraction will be really good. If we ever change like the constructor to our view model, I only have to change it in this class. And if we change like how the view state is exposed, I only have to change it here. And I won't have to update every single test, which is really cool. But now that we have this, let's write those tests. New file, we'll call this task list view model test. And here we've got a couple things we need to do. Well, one is our test robot. which will be robot. Um, and then here we can say we also need the a JVM rule for coroutines test rule, which will basically behind the scenes, this will do all that dispatcher stuff I talked about. So it will make all of our asynchronous code kind of run synchronously for testing. So we don't have to worry about threads mucking up our tests and whatnot. Um, sorry, just checking notifications. So once we have that, let's write a test for successful load. So here, what do we want? So one thing is we'll want to, let's create like a dummy task. Um, this will be like a test task. And so here, we can say like task response will be result dot success, and we'll do list of task. So this is our setup data. So now what we can do is we can say test robot. Okay, I missed a step in our robot. Our robot is not only the glue between our test and the system under test, the view model, but also how we can interact with any dependencies that need to be updated. More specifically, how does our test know to integrate with our mock? That also goes through the robot. So here, I would need to do something like mock all tasks result. Um, and here we could do like results, list of tasks, right? And then all this one is again, is it just works like a proxy. We could do get all tasks use case, mock response, result. And actually, maybe I should rename this. Do I know of any blog posts for this robot pattern? Yeah, actually. I mean, not that you wouldn't find this if you did exclamation point blog in the chat, but there's this blog, Android Essence, whoever writes that. Um, but I'm pretty sure he's written about the robot pattern. I do. Okay, so this one's actually very old. Um, this one's very old. I thought I'd written about this more recently. Um, I know I've given talks on this more recently. Uh, because this shows how good it is for espresso, but recently I've learned that it's also really good for view models. Maybe I need to rewrite that post. Uh, but I will find that for you, or see if someone else has written about this. Um, I know. Hold on. I can tell you where I gave my favorite version of. Is it still here though? It is. Okay. So at DroidCon London, I gave a speech about the robot pattern that also talks about espresso, but in the later version of this talk, I talk about robot patterns being helpful for view models and unit tests as well. So definitely, I'm really proud of this video. Would recommend if you have some time, or if you just want to see the slides, I can send you the slides, um, which I think are here. Yeah. Yeah, I was really proud of that title. I used it twice. My very first conference talk was this one. Um, but then the second time when I gave this talk was in London. Harry Potter felt like it was a great place to have given this talk. Also, the screaming I did for getting an international speaking opportunity. That was really cool. Okay, but now we have this robot function to mock all tasks result. So here we can do, so mock all task result, task response, um, build the view model, and then we could say assert view state. So our expected view state here will be task list view state dot six dot loaded. And then this needs, I think, a task, which will be a list of tasks. Uh, yeah, so that's what we would do in a successful case. And again, um, so now you can go back in time and watch yourself give a talk. I have rewatched some of my talks before. I think I like doing it. I used to do it more when I was, well, when conferences were happening more because I wanted to improve. And so it was kind of nice to watch myself back like that. And I've got some talks that I like cringed the whole time. I've got other talks that I'm like, oh, um, uh, I'll never forget. Oh, hi, I like that. That was a good reference. Um, Speaking of just cringing, the when I practiced my first conference talk, so this was several years ago. My first conference talk was Chicago Roboto. Uh, Funny that it's also Roboto, and I gave a robot pattern talk. But anyways, first time a conference talk got accepted. It was a like 40-minute slot, standard like full or like almost an hour speaking slot. And my old roommate Prince, he was like, I'll be your audience. You can write your slides, present it to me. And I am one of those people who I definitely don't show it as much now because I've gotten comfortable. But when I'm nervous, I talk very fast. That is kind of like my way of coping and getting through awkward situations. Anyways, I give Prince my 40-minute presentation. Here's all the things I have to say about the robot pattern. And he looks up at me and he goes, "That was 9 minutes." So ever since then, when I give conference talks, every like 5 slides, I put the word breathe in my speaker notes so that if I get nervous and I fly through a couple slides, I have that reminder to like slow down and maybe go recap or like just breathe before I keep going so I don't keep getting nervous. Um, yeah, I'm gonna refactor this a little bit and do like a task list here. So I just have this in one spot. Um, Clean up like organization. Um, cool. So that's successful load. Let's also write a test for failure load. Um, so here, we're going to do result. So because I'm going to do an error, I need to specify what this is. So a result list of tasks, but here we're going to do result dot error, um, and just give it some like default throwable. Whoops. And basically do the same thing here. Mock all task result, build view model, and then we're going to say expected view, assert view state, expected view state equals, um, I actually think I need to look at the view model because I had some hard-coded thing here. I'm just gonna copy this out because that's effectively what we're doing here, right? We want it to be that. Um, yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. Um, okay, let's run these tests and let's see if they pass. So those are nice, quick, easy unit tests. But I can show you all something cool on how we could take this a little step further with the robot pattern. Oh, and actually, now having done it, I can show you what I wanted to without refactoring a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, that test passed. Oh, they both passed. Why are you still running? How would I test the loading? Um, Let me give you the short answer. Hold on, after I commit this. Um, you could be fancy and do a manipulation of coroutines. Actually, in short, that is the answer. So, um, what we would do is we could basically have it when you call, because the words use case is like a suspend operation. Um, okay, I could do another stream about it. Or I can show you an example once I finish answering the other question, where it's really helpful. Um, yeah, let me spend a few seconds on that. Let me finish the first question. Basically, you could have it where your fake use case would um, basically have it suspend operation until you want to emit something. Um, and then, yeah, in your unit test, you would basically say, like, all right, now emit the thing. Actually, I did write about this. Hold on. Where's the new OkCupid tech blog? They moved it to Medium. Um, oh, nice. And they can filter by posts. Aha. Oh, here we go. Okay. Actually, I think I touched on robot pattern in here. All right, so here's a not so old blog post of mine from my last job. Um, and where's the example? It's in here somewhere. Wow, this is really long. Oh, actually, I do talk about test robots here and why to make it. Oh, Matt, are you still here? Click the link in chat. This is a way better blog post. Oh yeah, this is way better. I got so much better at writing by now. Um, and okay, so this blog post covers robot patterns, but it's not doing the thing I talked about. Why not? Um, oh, is it this one? Okay, this is me. Aha, yes. Okay, this is the one. Rafael, this will give you an answer here. Let me post this one in here. So you don't need fakes to do this, but I talked about fakes being really good for reactive flows. Um, and so how did I do that? Where's the code? Oh, this is a bad example because this isn't coroutines, but it's the same idea. It's the same idea in that like you would have a function called like emit response that here it calls a behavior subject, but in coroutines you would have it just like you would use something called a continuation, and then you would tell your continuation to resume. Um, and then inside your test, you would kind of do that in order. You would tell your fake to emit. We're working on Android development. Thank you for coming by. Appreciate it. Hi, Wild Dog. How are you? Um, all right, maybe I'll have to do another stream on the loading thing. Um, recap. So overall tonight, we did some composed navigation, and then we also did some animations of that. And then we started writing some tests, and now we're just talking about tests. We're talking about robot patterns and dealing with loading states and tests, like how do you have suspending functions only emit when you want them to, and stuff like that, which is a little more complicated than I'm making it out to be, and I don't have a lot of time, so we won't get into the long answer. But I did. Someone else asked about robot patterns, and I have more to say on that before we sign off. So, the robot pattern, again, brief highlight, it's an additional layer between something you're testing, say the view model, and your test class itself. And the reason for that is look, I have two tests here. And imagine if I had like 20. I had a really big view model. And imagine something core changes about the view model. I do not want to update all 20 of these tests. That is very annoying. I want a separate layer that would allow me to only change that one spot. And so that's where the robot comes in. If I change something about my view model's constructor, for example, I can just go into this build view model class and I can modify it right here. Um, and then all of our tests would still pass. Um, if I change something about the way the use case works, I modify it here, all of our tests will still pass. So I told y'all I had a brief idea on how you could use the robot pattern to your advantage. Um, Try to put my money where my mouth is. Let's do it. So consider right now we're dealing with this fake get all tasks use case. Okay. Or let's look at the view model here. Uh, so we have a view model that consumes the get all task use case. We're kind of doing a more pure unit test in that, also let me send a message real quick. Um, Actually, we're good. Where we supply like a fake here to work with. But what if I said like, I want this to be an actual integration test? We talked about that prod use case that's just like a proxy to the repository. What if I want to write like a full integration test where I can supply this use case to the view model and make sure that this use case is also working? But I want to do so without changing a single test. I got you covered. Let's go into our robot. Let's think about what's going to change. Well, one thing that'll change is like instead of this get all task use case, um, we're going to need a fake. The prod use case takes in a repository. Let's not go full integration test. Let's make a fake repository here. Let's make a fake task list repository real quick. And that actually has a very similar uh, configuration. So here, um, we're going to call this mock fetch all tasks. Okay, so we've got our fake. It's a mock task list repository, and we mock fetch all task list result. So let's now go into our task list vModel robot, and let's get rid of this. We're going to get rid of the use case, and we're going to create, fake task list repository. And then here, we can create a prod use case. Actually, let's do it here. Let's just do it right here. Fake task list repository.mock, right? And then where we mock the result, it's just instead of the use case, we could do fake task list repository, mock fetch all task result, and we're done. So I have changed my view model with its pure unit test, like fake use case, to an actual integration test using a concrete use case in under 5 minutes without touching task list view model test at all. And they still pass because, and now this is actually an even better test because we've got that full integration testing. So I saw this in action the other way where I typically make my view models dependent on the repository, and I've been moving away from that to use this use case pattern. I took a view model that had like 7 repositories, changed it to where it's just like 3 use cases, um, and then inside my robot, I basically did exactly this. Because I already had all the fake repositories, I basically just changed the constructor to use the concrete view models, and now all of my tests for that are concrete use cases, and then all of my tests for that view model still passed. So this is a great example of like you could refactor your view model and make sure your tests still pass without having to refactor all the tests. So that's just a silly little use case, um, but I think that's really cool, right? That's like imagine a world where we don't have 2 tests. Imagine a world where there was like 20 tests here for this bigger view model, right? That diff is going to be really annoying in GitHub, but now there's no diff at all. There's one here, but it makes sense, right? So moving to integration test. Awesome. And I think with that, I'll get this pull request up, but I do need to sign out of here soon. I gotta make some phone calls still tonight. and contact it. Um, not milestones, projects, home screen. Nice. Yeah. So we can definitely do a deeper dive into robots, but uh, if you like blog posts, the link a little further up in chat, the stand the test of time one, that is, or this one right here. This is a quite thorough, um, yeah, this is actually quite long. This is a quite thorough explanation on um, writing tests, dealing with positive and negative test cases, um, testing robots, wrapping dependencies to make things testable. Like, um, this is this is quite. And then something I didn't touch on is when you do the robot pattern, your tests become very readable. So, like, we've got this function here, empty fetch, right? Um, we build a view model, we give it some empty repository, and then we say, okay, assert the list is null, assert show empty state true, assert show error false, show loading false, show data false. Like this becomes very clear line by line what it's doing. If I didn't have this sort of facade, if I had just all that code inside the test, it'd be very difficult to understand what it's doing. Um, but this way, our tests kind of read the way we would explain them to someone. It reads like what we're trying to do. And then I also get autocomplete. I don't have to remember, like, how do I assert the list is empty? No, I just, on my robot, I start typing assert empty, or assert, show empty state, and you get that autocomplete. So your tests are also very composable as well. Um, which is great. Like if you're a person who like only writes a handful of tests because they're tedious, something like this makes it really easy to actually hit every corner case you could think of. So I noticed that it doesn't have, I guess it does have my name. Oh, it does link. I didn't think that they had ever linked my Medium. Um, I don't actually use Medium though, so don't follow me over there. There's not much there. Um, but yeah. I am gonna switch back over to webcam. I think that is. Oh no, that's not working. I think that's it for tonight. Thank you again to all of the new followers, everyone from Chris's stream. My webcam is still blurry. As I mentioned, I'm a scuff streamer. I'm always having some sort of technical difficulties that I can never seem to resolve. Um, that's my life. I've accepted my role. But I hope that despite all that, that you all learned something, found something new. As long as at least one person learned something new today, then we had a good stream. So, and some of y'all made a bunch of channel points on a Rubik's Cube bet. So, but yeah, we're gonna cut it a little early tonight. But thank you all for coming by. And uh, to my knowledge, I'm looking at my calendar. To my knowledge, I will probably be streaming next week. But that's actually still up in the air because the second half of next week I'll be on a hiking trip, so I don't know if I'll be here, but I will let y'all know. Follow me on Twitter, exclamation point Twitter. Uh, if you're not already, that's where you're gonna get the latest updates.